Hi there, I'm Bill Gallagher, and I'm a business growth coach with Gazelles. I want to talk to you today about something that is a little ambiguous and misunderstood, but really powerful when we get it right. And that's the difference in the relationship between strategy and tactics. So we're going to look at both of those things today from the lens of scaling up. First of all, it's useful to consider that scaling up a business, we all know that there's ups and downs, and that both the ups and the downs can keep us awake late at night with concerns about funding growth or handling downturns like that. So growing a business is drama-filled, as we all know. But we also know, although we don't like to think about, that you can go up and down and up and down and stay down and be game over. And of course, we don't want that at all. So the ultimate goal of scaling up is not just to scale up, but to smooth that ride so that you're scaling up smoothly, eliminating some of the drama in the process, being profitable, cash rich, and drama free, right? So that's the world of scaling up. So to understand the difference between strategy and tactics, we want to look over time, from now through forever, really, and we've got some increments that will break that down for you. So all of the things in the far distance are things of strategy. That's the world of strategy. And the near-term kinds of things are tactics or execution. So in looking between strategy and tactics, the dividing line we're going to say is really everything just beyond 1 year. So 3 years, 10 years, forever into the future, that's the world of strategy, and everything over the next year is pretty tactical and execution oriented. So the ultimate destination or objective lives in the world of forever and is unachievable, and that's purpose. Purpose is the why of your work, as Simon Sinek writes about in Start With Why. It's the emotional core of the difference your business is making in the world, and it's things like giving people happiness, or restoring people to their full and natural health, or giving them an escape from the traumas and challenges of life, or helping put people to work, or in the case of our business, we're out to help leaders build a better world, and we get our fulfillment out of accomplishing that. Now, there's no metric with this why. It is uncompletable or unfinishable. There's always more leaders. There's always a little bit better to make the world, right? So in our work, there's no end to Disney's pursuit of happiness. They're just always out to make more happiness, right? So that's the why of the work. It's the reason, it's the motivation. Then in the 10-year time frame, you can see here, is something that we call BHAG. Now, Jim Collins popularized this phrase. It's the big, hairy, audacious goal. Some of you already know this term. But we're looking at 10 or more years in the future. That big, hairy, audacious goal takes the why and then adds some quantification to it. So we start to break down purpose into a specific goal 10 or more years out in the future. That's BHAG. So that gives us the why and the what, right? And then we come to the how. Now the values, the way that you operate as a company, your values as a business are not aspirational. It's the way we can see things actually going if we look inside your company and see how you're operating today. So values begin today and continue out forever, and they determine how. So now we've got why, what, and how, and we've got an awful lot of value in the world of strategy. The next two pieces really complete the biggest core elements of strategy, and that's core customer. So who are you really serving? And we want to look at this through the lens of works like Bob Bloom's From Inside Advantage, where we consider that there's a kind of a customer that really loves you, that values your products and services, that loves working with your company, and that's our work from core customer, figuring out and narrowing down to not being everything to everyone, and not just looking at simple demographics from the size of the business or the age and income and education if we're in the consumer world, but we want to look at a rich description of that customer. The second piece is the brand promises. So what can that customer actually count on from you and your company again and again? And here we're looking for three things. So we're looking for a leading brand promise and then a couple of supporting promises that, taken together, ought to create a very specific, unique picture for your company and who you are. So there you got it. We've got a why, what, and a how, and then some things that add a little bit of what and how to the business in core customer and brand promises. All right. From there, we can actually add some detail to strategy by looking at a 3-year time frame and creating some chess moves. So in that, from that lens of 3 years out, we can begin to set goals around revenue and profit and cash. We can also set goals for the BHAG, the Big Hairy Audacious Goal in the 10-year time frame. We can pick some objective in a 3-year time frame, and then we can start to think about specific moves that we want to make in that 3-year frame around the people. Who's on the team? What does it look like when you've grown to that point? And how has the strategy evolved? Have you had to do new things, open new markets, introduce new products and services? So we can begin to set some chess moves in that time frame. We might also consider how the execution of the company has evolved as you've grown, right? And there's a whole lot of other really sexy things that we can add to strategy, but they don't fundamentally change it. So we can accelerate and we can fine tune it with things like sandbox, catalytic mechanisms, the differentiating activities, particular words that your company owns, the key metric that drives your business growth, and things like an X factor that gives you a tenfold advantage over competition, along with your innovation cycle. So these are some of the many things that we can add to strategy, but the core of it is here with purpose, BHAG, and values, core customer and brand promises. Those give us something to work at. If you've got those things, then what we want to do in a 1-year time frame becomes a lot clearer. So in tactics, we're going to go to and look at what are the key disciplines of execution. So there are priorities, metrics, and rhythms. We want to establish and be establishing priorities on a regular basis and updating those things, because we know we can't get it all done. So we've got to pick the right things to do. Now that we've got a clear strategy, that becomes a lot clearer on what to focus on. Then we want to have some key metrics. We want to have metrics for each of the key accountable people that are balanced, leading and lagging. And then we want to have a few metrics for the overall business that are balanced. So if we look at people's productivity, then we might also want to look at employee satisfaction, and so on. And then finally, what are the right rhythms? And in our case, we're really considering that every year we're updating strategy and setting some annual things. Every quarter we're doing some updates. Every month we do some stuff. Every week and every day. So let's look at what those things are. All right. On the annual basis, we want to set the big goals, the 3 to 5 big outcomes that we're looking to, things like the top line and the gross profit and the operating expenses, the net profit. But we might also want to set some goals around the BHAG and some others. But just a few goals, and then a top 5, maybe even 6 priorities that we establish for the year that help us to achieve those goal outcomes, right? Then every quarter from the year, we want to consider our progress on the year's objectives, how things are going, and create a new set of priorities just for that quarter. We want to determine the number one leading priority and then set a theme around that. The theme is a kind of a thing that encompasses it all and helps us to focus the team's attention and energy on achieving the top priority or the grouping of the top 5 priorities in the quarter. Then every quarter we're updating the priorities and the theme, and we've got some focus. So from there, the most critical meeting is actually the weekly meeting, where we make adjustments to our actions and approaches to each of the top priorities in the quarter. So every week we stop from the normal rush of emergencies and interruptions that you're doing, and we make some adjustments and we update what we're doing. So that's the weekly meeting. Then every day we'll do a huddle, and the huddle puts the team in sync, keeps everybody aware of what the rest of the team is up to, and helps the individual players to stop, reflect, and pick a daily huddle, a daily priority for themselves to consider. If you take all those things together, right, we could say that's the culture of the business. And within the culture, we've also identified 7 secret practices or ancient practices that really can help you to bring the purpose and the values and the BHAG to life over time in the company and add richness to all of the world of this execution that we're doing, right? And that will be the subject of our next video. I hope this is helpful and clarifies and helps you get a picture of the relationship between tactics and strategy, and helps you see how to determine the right kind of tactics, how to focus on a few things in your execution so that you're working consistent with your values towards the BHAG and in service of your purpose over the long run. I'm Bill Gallagher, and I hope this has been helpful. You can find our videos at youtube.com/Bill Gallagher, or our podcast, Scaling Up Business Podcast, on iTunes or wherever else you get your podcasts, and go to our website, scalingupbusiness.com. And we've got lots of articles and things to help you. A free growth kit that you can download to run your own strategy sessions with all the instructions and things like that that you might need to get your strategy dialed in. Until next time.